All right, how are we doing? Y'all have a good weekend? Good talk. Thank you. Now, some people still need to finish their quiz, so we'll get those graded soon and some other stuff graded soon. Sorry, it's delayed. But your next test will be in like 2 or 3 weeks, so mid-September. Okay. So the question is, did you take your quiz? I think everyone in this room did. And did you turn the last week warm up? I think everyone in this room did. So let's get straight to this warm up here. On this warm up, it says first of all, if we do the wrong thing and don't read, okay, um, that would be bad. But if we don't read it, we're just going to see two parts, right? Now, do y'all remember segment addition? I told you part plus part equals whole, right? So I see PQ is a part, QR is a part, but it doesn't tell me what PR is, so I don't know the whole thing. So I actually cannot do this way. But there's a key bit of information. Y'all looking up here? Q is a what? Midpoint. Where is the midpoint on a segment? In the middle, right? And if it's exactly in the middle, that means these two pieces are called halves and they are congruent. Same size, same shape. So we can show that with a little tick mark here. Go ahead and do that little tick mark, tick mark. Okay. So if I know that, all right. If we know, thank you. The little red and white lines. Um, if you see these little tick marks, or if you know it's a midpoint, then you can make those tick marks. What we know about these two halves are that they are equal in their measurement. So we can actually set these equal because we know that they're congruent segments. Okay? So again, we only do this when we know that it's cut in half. And we do. So once we set it up, now all we got to do is solve it, okay, like we've been doing with multi-step equations. X is on both sides of the equal sign. Which one do we get rid of first? The 7x or the 4x? What do y'all think? We want to get rid of the smaller x, which is 4x. How do I get rid of a positive 4x? Subtraction. Very good. Minus 4x. Minus 4x. 7 minus 4 is 3x. Bring down minus 16. Bring down 2. And now we have a two-step equation. We need to get rid of the loner, the minus 16. What's the opposite of minus 16? Plus, or adding 16. So that cancels. 3x equals 2 plus 16 is 18. And then our last step, to get rid of the number in front of x, how do I get rid of this 3? Division. Yeah, divide by 3. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Okay, we got some notes to do on midpoint formula. Here we go. So on our midpoint formula notes, you have to be able to uh, tell me the coordinates of a point on a graph. Like you got to be able to graph coordinates onto the grid, but also if you got points on the grid, you got to tell me what are the coordinates, right? So here we go. You got three segments here: A, B, E, F, P, N. First, let's find these coordinates, okay? Coordinates for point A do y'all see where A is right here? Whenever I give coordinates, it's always x, comma, y, right? So this point right here, if I'm starting at 0, x is horizontal, left to right. So this goes to the left 4, which is -4. And then it goes down 1, which is down is -1. So again, x is horizontal from left to right. Y is vertical, bottom to top. You got to be able to give me the coordinates of a point. Okay. Now point B is right here. So what's the x value? -4. And what's the y value? It goes up 3, so that's -4, comma 3. I'll stop there for a second. Is everyone looking up here first? Do you know how to get coordinate points, okay, from a graph? Well, what we want to do now is find midpoint, okay? Well, we know the midpoint's right in the middle. AB is 1, 2, 3, 4 units long. So if I just go up halfway, 2 units, that's got to be my midpoint, right? Now, what is the coordinate of this midpoint? It goes left 4, up 1. Well, that's -4, comma 1. It's too easy. Sometimes, if you have a graph, you can just find it on there. You don't got to do any algebra, okay? But what about EF? Well, E is over here. 3 left, 3 down. That is -3, -3. F is over here. Right 4, down 3. So that's +4, -3. Now, careful here. Where's the middle of EF? Let's count how long it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. What's half of 7? 7 divided by 2? It's not a whole number. It is 3.5. So what you're going to do is go over 1, 2, 3.5. Halfway from 3 to 4. Right there. Do y'all see that this is got to be literally half of 7 units? So it's got to be literally 3 and a little half. Okay? Well, that means our x value is right here at 0.5, halfway. And then it goes down 3, -3. Okay. Last one is P to N. P is -3, -1. N is +4, +3. Okay, so you should be able to find these points. Now, if you noticed, okay, PN vertically is just like AB, same vertical change. PN is the same horizontal change as EF. So like this midpoint vertically goes right there. This midpoint horizontally goes right there. So this is my midpoint, halfway across the X change, halfway across the Y change. Boom, right there. That's 0.5, comma 1. Half of the change in X, and then go up to the line. Half of the vertical change in Y, go over to the line. Okay, now that's just kind of eyeing it. That's using a graph, but that's not the way we're going to be going forward. There's actually a formula we can use to figure these numbers out. So eyeing it, you can sometimes see things or miscount things. So we really want to have an algebraic way. And the way to do that is with the midpoint formula. So I'm going to zoom in on this so we can get a good look at this. Go ahead and write this down in that box, okay? Midpoint formula. Put yourself a big old parentheses. You add up your x values, x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And then you add up your y values, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. That is the midpoint formula. Is everyone seeing that? It is basically the average of the x's and the average of the y's. Another word for that is mean. The mean, where you add up the x's and divide by 2, because there's two numbers. And you add up the y's and divide by 2, because there's two numbers. You're averaging them out. That's it. Okay. Yes. Let's just see it in action. Okay, so we have these two little expressions to help us find the midpoint. By the way, this is numbered wrong. This is supposed to be number 1, and then this is supposed to be number 2.
They just got to find the thing.
Right, sorry. So the numbering, it was a typo, sorry. So this is number 1, this is number 2, number 3 is correct, okay? So what does it say? Find the midpoint of a segment with endpoints, these, all right? Well, what am I going to do first? I'm going to first know this is x1 and y1. This is x2 and y2, okay?
So 8, 7.
No, so you're adding up the x's. So my x1 is 8, my x2 is negative 2. So you're going to add those up, 8 plus negative 2 divided by 2. Okay? Comma, and your y values, negative 7 and 5. Negative 7 plus 5 divided by 2. Okie dokie. So now all we got to do is simplify these fractions, okay? So could you do mental math?
Yeah.
I hope so, right? I think so. But when in doubt, Desmos will help you, okay? So mentally, 8 plus negative 2, or 8 minus 2 is 6. And then negative 7 plus 5 on top is negative 2. And then all you got to do is divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. That is the midpoint. What did I do? I added my x's and divided by 2. I added my y's and divided by 2. Now, you could just type these into Desmos, okay? But you have to do it one at a time. Here's what I mean. The left fraction, press divide by itself, 8 plus negative 2 divided by 2. Okay, do you see how I got 3? Okay, then do the other fraction by itself. Hit divide, negative 7 plus 5 over 2. 3, negative 1. That's how I got 3, negative 1. Okay, so you can use Desmos to simplify for you. Correct? I want you to try the next one. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Okay? Do it the exact same way. Add up your x's and divide by 2. Add up your y's and divide by 2. Here comes 1 minute starting now. Go. See if you can beat the clock. That's a minute. All right, so did you take your x values, 10 and 1, add them up, and divide by 2. If you type this into Desmos or do it by hand, 11 over 2 is 5.5. Add up your y values, -2 plus -7, divided by 2. You should get -9 divided by 2, which is -4.5. You want it to be decimals when you're talking about coordinate points, okay? So again, do you see how we did this? You're adding x's and dividing by 2. You're adding y's and dividing by 2. This is straightforward for when you have both endpoints, and that's kind of it, okay? Now, number 3 on your notes is when it gets a little bit, tiny bit more complicated, and I want you to see why. If you don't actually read all these words and you just see 2 points, if you start doing it this way, like we just did, it's not right, okay? Here's why. Number 2, you were finding the midpoint, right? But on number 3, they're asking you to find the endpoint. So on number 3, you actually know the midpoint and you know one of the endpoints, but you're looking for the missing other endpoint. So this one will take an extra step or two. So is everyone locked in looking up here, okay? When it asks you for the other endpoint, okay, what you're going to do is make 2 little equations, and you have to start with the midpoint. So check it out. Here's my midpoint. My x value is 1. So go ahead and write 1 equals. The midpoint x is 1. So what I'm going to do is set that equal to adding the endpoint x and the other endpoint x, which is missing. So my endpoint x is -5, and my other endpoint x is just going to be the variable x, since it's missing. So -5 plus x, if I add up those and divide by 2, I should get the midpoint x. So again, midpoint equals endpoint plus endpoint divided by 2. Half the battle is setting it up, and then we're going to have to solve it. Before I solve the x one, let's set up the y one, okay? What's the y for the midpoint? 3 equals, what's the y of the endpoints? -3 and y. So I'm going to add those up and divide by 2. This is how you find a missing endpoint. So now my job is to solve these 2 equations. And do you know how to solve an equation with a big old dividing by 2? Well, do the opposite. What is the opposite of dividing by 2? Multiplying. So watch this. Your first step when you're solving these, you multiply by 2 on both sides. Cancels out on the right. 1 times 2 is 2. -5 plus x. Last step to get x by itself. How do I get rid of a loner -5? The opposite is +5. 2 plus 5 is 7. My other endpoint x value is 7. And then, now I need to solve this one. So again, same idea. If I have a big dividing by 2, the opposite is multiply by 2. Cancels that out. 3 times 2 is 6. Bring down -3 plus y. Last step to get rid of this loner -3. The opposite is to add 3 to both sides, and I get 9 equals y. That is how you do this, okay? So 1 and 2 are straightforward midpoint formula when you know the endpoints. But please be careful. Number 3 is if you know one endpoint and the midpoint to find the missing endpoint. I have an assignment for you, so here we go.